Hi, Maseru is a framework I've been working on recently. It's a full stack framework. Maseru means in Japanese to mix and to blend, and it's called like that because I mixed a lot of different technologies into this framework. It's on the back end a JavaScript engine, currently Dino, but others might follow. Node Babashka, Hono as a web server, better SSE for communication with the front end, and on the front end I'm using Skittle, Replicant and Datastar libraries. The principles are that the state should live on the back end and part of it can be pushed to the front end. All the markup I want to write is written in Hiccup and as such pushed to the front end. The back end can push either state or markup to the front end, and the front end is fully reactive. So the whole overview is like this. The back end has a global state and the UI definition. They both get pushed via server-sent events to the front end, and the front end reacts to these changes. So what does this look like? When you clone the Maseru project into a directory and you have all the system dependencies installed, you can just cd into that directory and direnv and nix will install everything that's necessary. You can then launch the server with dino run server. Please note that there's no install step and no build step. This will launch the web server and also an nREPL. After the server is launched, you can connect in the browser and it will display a sample page with 9 elements. We will use this later. Also, you can connect to the REPL using bb run server REPL. Of course, after you've cd'd into the Maseru project. We are now connected to the REPL and can launch our commands. I'm using Espanzo, so I don't have to type so much for the video. First, I load all the requirements from the files. Now that I've loaded all the commands into the REPL, let's push some Hiccup to the front end. For this, I will replace the element 4, the one in the center, with a div containing hello. These commands are defined in the files, but you see the effect that the center element has now been replaced with a div. We can also push state to the front end. Currently, we don't have elements listening for state, so we'll have to do that first. I'm using Datastar for this, and I'm going to replace the element 1 with a div element that listens to the variable the text. Currently, it is undefined, so the div is empty. When I now send the state from the back end to the front end, so I'm now setting the text to hello my friend, you see that the div has now the text that we sent. We can also push web components to the front end. Please note that the reference to the web component is not being shown in this example and needs to be handled in the code that sets up the page. I am now replacing the element 0 with a fluent menu. This is an element I grabbed off the internet and it's going to display a menu item with 2 items, hello and goodbye. You see the web component is now displayed on the page. The last example is how we can broadcast markup and state to several connected sessions. For this, I connect two browsers to the backend and then create a web component at element 0 that has one item called hello and the other one called bound to the text state. The text is currently undefined, so they both are empty. I will now send state, broadcast state, so the second element of the web component is now filled with text. You see that this text has been displayed on both browsers. There are a few things I would like to add at the end. None of this is probably best practice of any of the libraries I've used. It's POC, so it's really, I'm tinkering about with it. Lots of functionality is duplicate and is not consolidated yet. And there are lots of open questions like performance, scaling, stability, and the management of these sessions. So what's next for me? I'm a bit undecided, so I'd be very thankful if you could leave some comments. Either I go do another video with more details on how the transform actually works from hiccup to HTML in the front end using a data store plugin. I have some ideas how to do some load tests together with containers. I have to do a lot of work with the state management on the backend, controlling the sessions and deleting old ones. Also, there are some technical depth like cleanup and readme. I'd also like to build a sample app or something else. This framework is basically for me to build my applications, but I hope someone else finds it inspiring as well. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.